this film, we are going to discuss quite frankly the things that are normal and to be expected in the development of children in relation to sex. Some of you may become somewhat uncomfortable as parts of this film unfold, but I think if you listen carefully, you will agree that the concepts will contribute to the rearing of a mature person who has a healthy, responsible attitude toward the sexual side of his life.
Then note the positive things that can be done to put sex in a proper perspective.
Unless you're an extremely unusual audience, you will welcome some of this help, because most people, parents or young people who are concerned about their own attitudes, have not in their own lives had the opportunity to gain this kind of insight.
I never had a good enough understanding myself to really explain things.
I don't even know at what age to start. When should I begin?
Parents don't talk freely about sexual matters with their children. They can't. They've been reared in such a way that it's a bugaboo. They don't have enough facts. Parents don't know when or how to begin. They keep delaying and delaying until a child senses that this subject is not acceptable and turns elsewhere for information, which proves to be misinformation. The line of communication between parent and child is then broken. Fortunately, this doesn't need to be a permanent break if the parent can be taught how to approach the problem. This phase of reproduction is fairly easy for most parents to handle. No storks, no cabbage leaves, no doctor's bags. The next question, however, most parents find a little more difficult to manage.
Mommy, I want to ask you something. I know that the baby grows inside you. That's where Johnny was. But he seems so big. What I wonder is, how does he get out of there? Your belly button?
Mary, the baby doesn't come out of your navel. Let me tell you how it is. There's a special opening just in front of the place where you have your BM. Until when you're grown up, it gets to be just about this size. Now, when the baby's ready to be born, it stretches up to be about this size, just big enough for the baby to slip through head first. Then after the baby's born, it goes back to its regular size. Do you understand?
Yes, I think so, but there's something else. How did the baby get started in there?
The special opening that little girls have, the one I told you about, has a name, the vagina. Now, you know that little boys like our Johnny have a penis. You see his penis when we change his diapers. When a boy grows up and is ready to be a father, he is able to put his penis into the vagina, that special opening that mothers have. And when he does this, he can plant the seed that starts a baby to grow.
Mary's last question is one many parents have trouble fielding. You notice that the mother is giving clear, direct answers within this child's ability to understand. Surprising as it may seem in our sex-geared culture, children who have had a matter-of-fact approach to this subject have no more curiosity about this than many other interesting things. As children get a little older, there is a behavior pattern that is common to almost all boys and a large number of girls. I'm referring, of course, to masturbation. Let me at this point make a clear-cut scientific statement. Masturbation is not harmful. The young child often plays with his genitals, and after puberty, masturbation is a common release mechanism for the sex drive. Growing boys will either masturbate to get rid of this energy or have a nocturnal emission, the so-called wet dream. Since sexual fantasies or dreams often accompany these experiences, the teenager will sometimes feel guilty or ashamed. What he needs right then is reassurance from his parents that they know these things happen and that the experience itself is not harmful to health or to normal growing up, not important at all. Let us take a look at how these wrong attitudes toward the genital organs are formed early in infancy.
Tammy, don't do that.
Honey, that's nasty.
You know better than that.
Shame, that's nasty.
When parents behave this way 50 or 100 times over a period of time, the child automatically expects this kind of reaction. Without even thinking, in his young mind, he comes to believe that he's done something bad, something wrong. This undeserved guilt can carry over into childhood or even adulthood. In fact, the parents of the babies we just saw probably were themselves treated this way when they were younger. The child's whole attitude towards sex, then, is built on the premise that there is an element of badness in it. He can't help himself.
Every so often I get a strong sex urge, and the only way I can take care of it is to masturbate. And when I do, I feel awful. It's just like I've committed a crime or something. And it worries me, and I say, well, I won't do it anymore. And when I do, it goes away for a while, and I come back and do it again. And when I do control myself for a while, I end up with a wet dream.
George, I'm really pleased that you can tell me about this. Perhaps it's because we've known each other for so long. You know, this attitude goes back to when you were little. You probably don't even remember when you got these ideas, but obviously they're quite firmly planted in your mind. The only thing I can tell you as a doctor is that what you're doing is just part of growing up. It's something you probably will do once in a while, whether you think it's a good idea or not. I hope I can reassure you so that you aren't concerned. From a medical point of view, George, I only wish society could look at it in its proper light. This is an age of acne, the cracked voice, and the big differences in size and shape. And to top it off, there is no other age at which a youngster is more sensitive about himself.
Those who have hurdled this period successfully can look back comfortably and with amusement. But from the child's point of view, the problems can be serious business. What parents should do is to reassure their boy that his eventual physical appearance has little to do with the vast differences that occur at puberty. What's more, every boy should realize that the size of his genital organs has nothing to do with fertility or his capacity as a male. But girls have their problems as well. Let's hear about a few of these from a couple of teenagers.
Would you believe it? Mother called this guy. She knows his mother and arranged a date for me for the school dance.
What did you do then?
Oh, we just sat there. He was sort of a drip and couldn't even dance. I don't know how to talk to boys.
I don't know who's worse off. At our house, no dates, even school dances, till you're 16, and that's the law. What makes them think that when I hit my 16th birthday, all of a sudden I'm old enough than I wasn't the day before? I get so mad.
You've always been, sort of able to talk to boys. I've watched you. And sometimes I've wished I could be like that. Oh, but I'm not like that, even if my mother does want me to be a glamour girl.
Now I would like to turn to an entirely different subject, one of particular interest to the girls, menstruation. This is a topic, Dr. Evans, that I think you can give us some advice of a real expert.
There's been a real change in our approach to education about menstruation. It's hard to believe what grandmother experienced, but let's hear her story.
I'll never forget when I was 14 years old. I went to the little outhouse on our farm. My new dress was stained and there was blood on my underclothes. I ran inside and showed my mother. And all she said was, "You're menstruating," and turned and walked away. I had to find out how to take care of myself from my cousin.
Were any of your girlfriends told in advance by their mothers?
No, I'm afraid not. They were just as scared as I was. Some of them had older sisters who told them. One thing I was sure of, I would never let this happen to my daughter.
Why do you suppose your mother didn't tell you in advance?
Ignorance. Just plain stupid ignorance.
Now I would like to see if we can summarize what we have presented. Sex education as such is not difficult. It is only uncomfortable for parents because of their backgrounds and lack of know-how. From our experiences with many people, we have tried to bring out misconceptions and facts not well understood and tried to explain them on a scientific basis. It should be evident the advantages of starting early with explanations to children.
If we begin early to create an atmosphere of understanding in which the child is allowed to express his real feelings, we give honest answers to his questions, we're well on the road to the kind of parent-child relationship that fosters the development of true maturity.